Malaysia is a multi-confessional country whose most professed religion is Islam. As of 2013, there were approximately 19.5 million Muslim adherents, or 61.3% of the population. Islam in Malaysia is represented by the Shafi'i version of Sunni theology and jurisprudence. Islam was introduced by traders arriving from Arabia, China and India. It became firmly established in the 15th century. The constitution grants freedom of religion and makes Malaysia an officially secular state, while establishing Islam as the religion of the federation to symbolize its importance to Malaysian society. The king is generally seen as the defender of the faith in the country. Various Islamic holidays such as Muhammad's birthday etc. have been declared national holidays alongside Christmas, Chinese New Year and Deepavali. Background: the draft constitution of Malaysia did not specify an official religion. This move was supported by the rulers of the 9 Malay states, who felt that it was sufficient that Islam was the official religion of each of their individual states. However, Justice Hakim Abdul Hamid of the Reid Commission, which drafted the constitution, came out strongly in favor of making Islam the official religion, and as a result the final constitution named Islam as the official religion of Malaysia. All ethnic Malays are Muslim, as defined by Article 160 of the Constitution of Malaysia. Religion of the Federation: 9 of the Malaysian states, namely Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Kedah, Perak, Perlis, Selangor, Johor and Negeri Sembilan, have constitutional Malay monarchs. These Malay rulers still maintain authority over religious affairs in states. The states of Penang, Malacca, Sarawak and Sabah do not have any sultan, but the king plays the role of head of Islam in each of those states as well as in each of the federal territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya. On the occasion of Malaysia's first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman's 80th birthday, he stated in the 9th of February 1983 edition of the newspaper The Star that the country has a multiracial population with various beliefs. Malaysia must continue as a secular state with Islam as the official religion. In the same issue of The Star, Abdul Rahman was supported by the third Malaysian Prime Minister, Hussein On, who stated that the nation can still be functional as a secular state with Islam as the official religion. Currently, one of Malaysia's states, Kelantan, is governed by PAH, which is a conservative Islamic political party, with the proclaimed goal of establishing an Islamic state. Terengganu was briefly ruled by PAH from 1999 to 2004, but the ruling Barisan Nasional Coalition has since won back the state. To counter the falling credibility of United Malay's national organization's Islamic credentials vis-a-vis PAH, the head of the Barisan Nasional, Datuk Seri Abdullah Badawi, proposed Islam Hadari. In the 1990s, the Pan-Malaysian Islamic Party-led state governments passed Islamic Hadad laws in Terengganu, but was struck down by the secular federal government. The newest format of the Malaysian identity card divides Malaysians into various religious groups, e.g. Muslim, Christian, Hindus, Buddhists. The introduction of this card caused a political uproar and was deemed discriminatory by non-Muslims. This issue has, however, since abated and been accepted by non-Muslims. There is also an Islamic university in Malaysia called the International Islamic University Malaysia, and a government institution in charge of organizing pilgrimages to Mecca called Tabung Haji. In addition, the government also funds the construction of mosques and shuras. Although the constitution declares Malaysia to be a secular state, there is much confusion on this subject. Several Muslims have argued, especially after former Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad's declaration that Malaysia is an Islamic state, despite the federal government's denial that Malaysia is an Islamic state. The previous administration administration under Abdullah Badawi have gradually furthered the agenda of Islamic supremacy at the expense of other religions. The spread of Christianity is a particular sore point for the Muslim majority. The Malaysian government has also persecuted Christian groups who were perceived to be attempting to proselytize to Muslim audiences. There is a National Fatwa Council that issue fatwas as part of the Department of Islamic Advancement of Malaysia. History. Individual Arab traders, including Shafi'i base, preached in the Malay archipelago, Indochina, and China in the early 7th century. The Islamic Cham people of Cambodia trace their origin to Jash, the father of Zainab, and thus one of the fathers-in-law of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Islam was introduced to the Sumatran coast by Arabs in 674 CE. Islam was also brought to Malaysia by Indian Muslim traders in the 12th century AD. It is commonly held that Islam first arrived in Malay Peninsula since Sultan Muzaffar Shah I of Kedah, the first ruler to be known to convert to Islam after being introduced to it by Indian traders who themselves were recent converts. In the 13th century, the Terengganu stone monument was found at Kuala Barang, Terengganu, where the first Malay state to receive Islam in 1303. Sultan Muhammad Iskandar Shah, known as Parameswara prior to his conversion, is the first Sultan of Malacca. He converted to Islam after marrying a princess from Pasai of present-day Indonesia. The religion was adopted peacefully by the coastal trading ports people of Malaysia and Indonesia, absorbing rather than conquering existing beliefs. By the 15th and 16th centuries it was the majority faith of the Malay people. Influences of Zhenghi's voyages. Zhenghi is credited to have settled Chinese Muslim communities in Palembang and along the shores of Java, the Malay Peninsula, and the Philippines. These Muslims allegedly followed the Hanafi school in the Chinese language. This Chinese Muslim community was led by Haji Yan Yingyu, who urged his followers to assimilate and take local names. Islamic Sunni Islam. The Sunni Islam of the Shafi'i school of thought is the official, legal form in Malaysia, although syncretist Islam with elements of shamanism is still common in rural areas. Mosques are an ordinary scene throughout the country and adhan from minarets are heard 5 times a day. Government bodies and banking institutions are closed for 2 hours every Friday so Muslim workers can conduct Friday prayer in mosques. However, in certain states such as Kelantan, Terengganu, Kedah and Johor, the weekends fall on Friday and Saturday instead of Saturday and Sunday. It has been introduced to several states, notably Kelantan and Terengganu. All businesses closes for 2 hours on every Friday for prayers. Failure to comply would result in fines. All public places including shopping malls, hotels, condominiums, usually have allocated spaces, called surau, for performing the Muslim prayers. Other sects. The Malaysian government has strict policies against other Islamic sects, including a ban on Shia Islam, in order to avoid violence between the two faiths that has sometimes broken out in other parts of the world by promoting only the Sunni faith. Despite the restrictions, Malaysia is a popular choice for Arab Shia academics fleeing who are unable to obtain employment in most of the Arab states that are Sunni. There is also a large and growing Iranian population, traditionally Shia, who choose to live in Malaysia. A notable sect that has been outlawed is Al-Arqam, Muslims who believe Mirza Ghulam Ahmad to be the fulfillment of the Islamic prophecies concerning the return of Jesus. The Ahmadiyya are also present. There are approximately 2,000 Ahmadis in the country. Though small in number, they face state-sanctioned persecution in Malaysia. Muslims who reject the authority of Hadith, known as Quranists, Quraniyun, or Ahl al-Quran, are also present in Malaysia. The most notable Malaysian Quranist is the scholar Qasim Ahmad. Cultural role. Islam is central to and dominant in Malay culture. A significant number of words in the Malay vocabulary can trace their origins to Arabic, which is the chosen language of Islam. This is, however, not exclusive, and words from other cultures such as Portuguese, Chinese, Dutch, Sanskrit, Tamil, English, and French can also be found in the Malay language. Islam is so ingrained in Malay life that Islamic rituals are practiced as Malay culture. Muslim and Malays are interchangeable in many daily contexts. Hari Raya Idul Fitri is an important festival celebrated by Malaysian Muslims. Muslim women generally wear the tudung over the heads. However, Malay women not wearing any headgear are not reprimanded or penalized. Prominent Malaysian female examples are Datuk Seri Rafid Aziz, International Trade and Industry Minister, and Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Ali, wife of former Malaysian Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad. However, with the influx of Arabic travelers, foreign Muslim women wearing hijab that leave only their eyes exposed are often spotted in tourist attractions, not the least at the shopping malls. At certain Malaysian institutions such as the International Islamic University, wearing of the tudung is mandatory. However, for non-Muslim students this usually amounts to a loosely worn piece of cloth draped over the back of the head. Some regard the tudung to be an indication of Arabic influence in Malay Muslim culture, and point to incidents such as the banning of the traditional Malay wayang kulit in the state of Kelantan to be un-Islamic. Malaysia's top Islamic body, the National Fatwa Council, ruled against Muslims practicing yoga, saying it had elements of other religions that could corrupt Muslims. The same body has ruled against ghosts and other supernatural beings. Political issues. UMNO's Committee in Mosque. Tan Sri Abdul Khalid Ibrahim, the 14th Chief Minister of the state of Selangor, said, "We want mosques to carry out more activities for the Muslims. Unfortunately, the UMNO only want to put the men in the administration of mosques. This is absurd." Quote, he said he wants to replace mosque committees to reduce political interference. "We must remember, the Sultan of Selangor in his every speech has stressed against using mosques for political purposes, and His Highness has been consistent in stating his views." Definition of Malay as defined by the Constitution of Malaysia. Malays must be Muslim, regardless of their ethnic heritage, otherwise, legally, they are not Malay. Consequently, apostate Malays would have to forfeit all the constitutional privileges, including the Bumiputra status, which entitles them to affirmative action in university admissions and discounts on purchases of vehicles or real estate. It is legally possible to become a Malay if a non-Malay citizen with a Malaysian parent converts to Islam and thus claims all the Bumiputra privileges granted by Article 153 of the Constitution and the new economic policy. However, the convert must habitually speak the Malay language and adhere to Malay culture. A tertiary textbook for Malaysian studies following the government-approved syllabus states, "This explains the fact that when a non-Malay embraces Islam, he is said to mask Melayu. That person is automatically assumed to be fluent in the Malay language and to be living like a Malay as a result of his close association with the Malays." Islam in Malaysia is thus closely associated with the Malay people, something an Islamic scholar has criticized, saying that Malaysian Islam is still clothed in communal garb, that Muslims in Malaysia have yet to understand what the universal spirit of Islam means in reality. Sharia legal system. Parallel to the civil courts, there are Sharia courts which conduct legal matters related to Muslim family sphere. Legal issues like Muslim divorce and Muslim apostasy are conducted in the Sharia courts. However, there are cases whereby apostasy cases are tried in the federal courts. Non-Muslims are not bound by Sharia clothing. As of 2013, most Muslim Malaysian women wear the tudung, a type of hijab. This use of the tudung was uncommon prior to the 1979 Iranian Revolution, and the places that had women in tudung tended to be rural areas. The usage of the tudung sharply increased after the 1970s, as religious conservatism among Malay people in both Malaysia and Singapore increased. Several members of the Kelantan ulama in the 1960s believed the hijab was not mandatory. By 2015, the Malaysian ulama believed this previous viewpoint was un-Islamic. By 2015, Malaysia had a fashion industry related to the tudung. Nur Hayati Kaprawi directed a 2011 documentary about the use of tudung in Malaysia. See Aparakayu. It is in Malay, with English subtitles available. Although wearing the hijab, or tudung, is not mandatory for women in Malaysia, some government buildings enforce within the premises a dress code which bans women, Muslim and non-Muslim, from entering while wearing revealing clothes. Distribution of Muslims. According to the 2010 census, 61.3% of its population were Muslim. All person who self-identifying as ethnic Malay is categorized as Muslims. The data shows the non-Malay who self-identifying as Muslim does not mask Melayu and still counted separately from Malay ethnic group. Information collected in the census based on respondents' answer and did not refer to any official document. By gender and ethnic group. By state and ethnic group. Islam-related tourist attractions. Islamic Arts Museum Malaysia, Kelantan Islamic Museum, Malacca Al-Quran Museum, Malacca Islamic Museum, Malay and Islamic World Museum, Penang Islamic Museum.